As we've been talking about this morning and really for a couple of weeks, MARTA is under a lot of pressure after two stabbings, a shooting, a federal investigation, and now demands for answers from state leaders. With Atlanta's first World Cup match just days away, we're asking what safety should look like now and who should pay for it. Here now with us this morning is Ruwa Romman, a current Democratic state representative from Gwinnett County and also candidate for the state Senate. So simply put, do you believe MARTA is doing enough right now to keep riders safe?
You know, between the lack of fare gates and the World Cup coming up, I just don't think MARTA has enough resources right now to be able to meet the needs of this moment.
And when you see two stabbings and a shooting tied to MARTA in such a short time span, what's your first concern here? Is it police? Is it funding, management, public trust? What are you thinking first?
All of these things are completely interconnected. At the end of the day, my position at a state level is to make sure that local, that includes city and county officials, have the resources they need to be able to do right by the people using these public transit resources. And in our situation, the only time the state has ever had a budget item for MARTA was in 2021 for a total of $6 million. Everything else the state hasn't actually supported.
Wow, and Governor Kemp even said, that possibility is on the table if they ask. So what do you think MARTA should be required to disclose publicly after these violent incidents?
You know, my hope is that more and more people now learn that we are one of the few states in the country that does not actually fund our public transit. The Miami-Dade Metro Rail, which has half the ridership of MARTA, received almost $15.7 million from the Florida government. Like I said, we've only done $6 million once in 2021. We're also constitutionally prohibited from spending a penny of gas tax money, $2.4 billion about per year on mass transit. And so again, my hope is that if we are going to come together, that we are able to find a solution where we fully fund MARTA to be able to address some of these problems, give them the funding they need for security, for better management, and to be able to meet the needs of a world-class city like Atlanta.
And what do you think should happen with MARTA's leadership? Face consequences, or what do you think if the agency can't clearly explain the safety plan here?
Yeah, I think what's really interesting about all of this is that we just passed legislation in the House that would essentially change the transportation leadership. So to me, some of this seems to have been preempted. But again, these are conversations that should have started well before this. And if people want to focus on leadership, particularly at a state level, our job is to make sure we do what is available to us to do within our powers at a state level.
And so let's talk more about, we know that you are a candidate right now for state Senate. Do you feel that this is an issue that's going to become bigger as the election year rolls on and maybe introducing some of those options to get funding for MARTA?
Absolutely. So one of the problems right now in many of these metro counties, which again have millions of people living in them, is traffic. Not only is traffic a problem where you're losing time with loved ones, time to cook dinner with your family and just be at home, on top of the fact that gas is rising astronomically, we don't have options. There's actually no way for me, for example, if for whatever reason my car gets stuck, for me to get home, even though I live on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard, which is a main road. And for a lot of people, what's come up at the doors over and over again is this need for, we need to fix traffic, but there's also a lot of education that needs to happen around how transit can be that. But in order for people to be okay with transit, in order for people to be okay with having that option, it has to be reliable, it has to be safe, and it has to be a place where they know that once they get on that train, they will get to where they're going, or that bus, or whatever type of public transit option is being made available to them.
We got about 30 seconds left here. How do you think we avoid making this only a World Cup story when everyday riders will still be there after the tournament ends?
I think as elected officials, we have a responsibility to be honest when we message about this. This is not sort of something that just came in a vacuum, and we have an obligation that if we use this moment to truly invest in MARTA, it can become a world-class transit system, just like our city is a world-class city.